welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cuff.
He's Captain Foley!
But we have someone else here, an interloper.
They've snuck in! Shields up!
Who is it? Who are we talking to today?
That would be me, David Bissig, creator of the Bissigverse.
We're heading back to the Bissigverse because Dave does amazing things and we want to talk about them. So here we are back again today.
And it's nice because some people have a koala that makes a universe, some people have a Bissig.
So what are we looking at today specifically?
So today is kind of the big point of the Bissigverse. A lot of people ask, what is the Bissigverse? What are we doing with this? So today we get the first look at the first chapter of kind of the Bissigverse history book. We did kind of like test the waters with our last live with the Marine Corps live. If you guys remember that, that was kind of get our bearings, see how this works, and get ready to launch kind of what I would say is the main effort of this project here, which is going to be this continuing history book of Starfleet history set in my universe, and all the ships and the characters and all the events and all the stuff that happens as we go through the timeline. We start with Zephyr and Cochrane and we move forward from there. So this is going to be chapter 1 at the beginning.
Extremely detailed, I might add.
And hopefully there's a bit about time travel, because Larry Nemeczek apparently is in it, because he's on the front cover.
I actually just sent it to him the other day. He already checked it out. He was very happy I put him on the front cover. So
that's one thing to highlight as well. I mean, the art is great. It's it isn't just taking a screen cap and maybe doing an art pass over it, which some people can do. This is all original work, bit of character, bit of creativity, and there's a bit of Franklin, a bit of NX, bit of suit.
We have a mix. We take inspiration from all existing Star Trek and then put my flavor on it. And the point of what we're doing here today is to let you guys know, hey, this book exists and we want you to read it, because in a month from now, we're going to be doing a live. And one of the lessons we learned from our last go around was people will ask more questions if they have time to read the thing before the live.
So what can they expect when they jump into this first chapter?
So the first chapter starts with Zephyr and Cochrane and our famous Flight of the Phoenix. And the key objective of chapter 1 is to look at the condition of Earth during first contact and really explaining to the viewer, like, you see what you see in first contact, and that's all well and good, but there's a whole other planet with a whole lot of other issues going on. And when we see canon pick back up again in Star Trek Enterprise, we're nearly 100 years into the future and everything is magically fixed. Humanity's got its act together, and everything's honky-dory. And that was a century of very hard work with a lot of steps in good directions and bad directions. It wasn't a straight path. We have all sorts of different characters that we're introducing who are instrumental in essentially the formation of what you understand as the United Earth government that we talk about in this chapter. And there's going to be, aliens. Not all of them are human too. And we're analyzing the condition of the planet and those first steps being taken to get us towards what you see in Star Trek Enterprise. The timeline we cover is pretty much 2063 up until about the 2080s is where this first chapter takes us to.
Well, again, to reiterate, this isn't anywhere Prime Trek canon. This is entirely separate. It might pull from it, but this isn't look, I'm inventing the past. No, it's entirely separate. So any divergences are intentional because you know where you're going, so you're able to make the logic start from the start, because some of the changes you have are pretty giant, so it's good to kind of think through them at the start and then it'll make sense, etc.
And just because of the way I like to do storytelling, all of my work builds on itself. So we are throwing a lot at you here in chapter 1. This is like, whoa, like there's a lot in here, but the hope is as we go through this journey, you'll start seeing the building blocks being laid and you'll be able to reference back to this stuff and you'll be like, oh, okay, I see how we got from there to here. It's a very long road.
But speaking of the long journey, I mean, obviously the thing that's most impressive really for the Trekyards lovers is the new ships. You've got 2 Vulcan, or 2 slides of Vulcans. There might be more than one ship in the giant cargo fleet, it looks like. And it's certainly a challenge to create a faithfully new yet old yet faithful. And so I appreciate you've created relatively faithful looking side steps. Because, of course, a battleship is not going to look the same as a cargo ship. Why would it? So it's always going to be a sidestep. So, how much of this can we look forward to? Because in previous times we've seen, sketches, very rough sketches. This is all full 3D. It looks like. I mean, how much of this can we expect?
So we have 4 or 5 Vulcan 3D model ships and a space station. Yes, we have a Vulcan space station in there. I'm the main 3D artist, so I do the models and the textures and all that myself. And like I said, we have some 2D artists we hire, and we also are making use, now that we have this as a new tool, we have AI art assistants too with some of this stuff. And for chapter 1, let's see if I remember. I know we have 4 or 5 new Vulcan ships. There's at least 2 or 3 human ships in there. They're not United Earth ships because that doesn't exist yet. They're just human ships at this point. And chapter 1 again is really more of the groundwork, laying the groundwork. I think one of the teasers I gave you guys is you're going to, as we move closer towards what you understand of regular Star Trek, the number of ships in the content is going to go up. I think I sent you guys a message as chapter 2 is going to have kind of this explosion of ships in it.
We love our ships for sure. And I got to say, these cargo ships, these Vulcan cargo ships are a very cool design. I do love the approach you took to that, and the Operation Salvation Day, where the Vulcans come to like help out Earth. I love that.
Yeah, that was a really important image for me to catch too, because we see the Vulcan stewardship program in Star Trek Enterprise, and at that point, it's a very contentious relationship between the humans and the Vulcans. And when you're sitting
They're a bit
back,
mean.
yeah, and when you're sitting back looking at this, it kind of looks like this very dysfunctional parent to adolescent child relationship, almost, I would say. And like, to me, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure the relationship's going to be like that in the Bissigverse, but like even in regular Star Trek canon, it couldn't have started out like that. There had to be a point in time where everything was honky-dory between everybody, and that's how this relationship became established. So, we talk about that a lot in Chapter 1 of what needed to be done to basically fix Earth. We had a massive thermonuclear weapons exchange that wrecked the environment, the atmosphere, all the nations on Earth, and this was like a Herculean effort on behalf of the Vulcans to assist in fixing this. And in Star Trek, you can't just I mean, we know what it looks like in TV, but you're not going to just send like one cruiser and that one cruiser is going to somehow magically fix an entire planet's worth of problems. This is going to be a sustained effort with fleets involved, and they're going to build a space station in orbit to coordinate the logistics stuff. And you guys know from my military background, I always kind of sprinkle that in. So a lot of the military vets in the audience, when they read through this, they're going to, when following like the order of operations here and how the Vulcans started fixing Earth, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, I know what Taxop this was from. I see how he's how he's lining this up, and that's kind of one of the areas where I get guidance from on like, how would this operation look if the Vulcans actually wanted to come clean up Earth? What would be involved in doing that?
I think it's fair to say the Vulcan being so whatever they were is quite one of those controversial things in Enterprise. So if you want to change it, I think most people will be like, yeah, that's probably a smart choice. It wasn't the best thing they could have done for the show.
Yeah, I like I said, we will be making changes, but again, the all the changes that I make, it's all in an effort to make the story make more sense, right? I think Star Trek as a whole, just because the franchise is so huge, it's gone on for 60 some odd years now, and when it was first created, there wasn't like this grand battle plan of how we're doing this, right? They've just kind of shoot things in, tried to make this work, and yeah, and it started out as something much smaller before it grew into something much bigger. And part of the main drive of the Bissigverse is to say, well, we know what this whole big Star Trek story is now. If we go back to the beginning, how can this be written to make this flow in one cohesive, consistent line now? And then, of course, I put my own spin on it, as all little canon universe creators do.
And I gotta say, I love the growing pains. Like just reading through this, that the captain of the Tipan, Haas Solkar, how it's like his decision to contact Earth was like controversial, and his explanation. 700-page report
Which I did not
So-
write. We only took an excerpt of it. Don't worry, guys. There's not a 700-page report in this.
But it
We
will be
just took a
there for the
snapshot of
live.
it.
Don't worry.
Yes, exactly. I just want to point that out. Like, there's a lot of there's details in here that you wouldn't expect necessarily, and I find that quite interesting. So,
And of course, that's where the live is to actually go through this stuff. This is the tease video, Stuart, the cursory.
There's going to be a lot of interesting things with Zephyr and Cochrane, too, going on with this. And one of the things I'm really excited for people to see is actually all the images we did with Zephyr and Cochrane. So, obviously, right now, we only would have the images of him that we see in First Contact. But with the AI art generation now, we can literally create him, up age him, down age him, put him in a spacesuit, put him on a planet, and this looks, I think you guys already saw it, you would agree, it's fairly photorealistic. It's very difficult to tell that this is not the real deal in some of these images.
Just answer me this. Will he have a pig at any point as a pet?
No, I don't know. I don't
No.
think we talked about
No pig.
He was a very busy guy. You'll see. I don't really think he had time for a pet. Going through, and we also have like Lily Sloan in there too, so that also is going to be a very interesting character because she plays a major role in First Contact, but we really don't know anything about her other than the fact that she spent a month gathering up a bunch of titanium to build a cockpit. That's about the extent of the backstory we have on her, and we have an entire page just dedicated to her backstory, where she was formerly a pilot in the Western Alliance military who ended up saying hey, I don't want to be part of this, and the whole world's about to go to hell, and she's involved with Zephyr and Cochrane, and he brings her under his wing and part of his team. And we're gonna also look at the little bit of the backstory on the condition of Earth and the different factions involved and how everything went so wrong so fast. And
all right, well, thank you, David, for this little tease, and hopefully everybody will join us for the live where you can get more in depth on this kind of stuff.
How many more pages
trust
will
me,
there be, actually? 'Cause this is the tease pages. How many more pages are we going to be looking at?
I believe it's 29 or 30 pages of content. So
this is a real tease. We haven't even seen the full thing, so
correct.
we've been teased too.
Yeah. And we're really excited to bring this to you guys. The download links will be posted below in this. They're Google Docs, they're PDFs you can download, so you can just read them on your web viewer, on your phone, or whatever it is you want to read them on. And write down your questions. It's like a book club, right? That's kind of like what we're going for
with
here
spaceships.
with this. It's a book club with Star Trek and spaceships, and we really are looking forward to having audience engagement. So that's why we're putting this out here a whole month ahead of time to give you guys time to go read it, digest it, figure out what your questions are, and we're really looking forward to having a lively discussion with the audience on this as we kind of go through the page by page play on the live a month from now.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Dave, for that. We will look forward to that live, as you guys should as well. Please hit that like button. Don't forget to comment down below anything you want to say to Dave, maybe, and come to the live for sure.
Questions.
Yes, and make sure you're subscribed, obviously, and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss when we do lives and other content as well.
Or the more direct way is, of course, Patreon, monthly. Join the channel, also monthly. You can be the fleet. Both ways of getting the fleet. Maybe someday a Bissigverse ship might appear in the fleet. There are trans time barriers in our fleet. Maybe trans-universal.
Well, yeah, they already have. We have the Franklin.
Well, as a convoluted ship. Or one time today, Trekyards@hotmail.com, or buy a shirt down below like Dave could, because I mentioned that before.
I need to get one. I know. I have. This is the Ticonderoga thing. If you guys haven't gone check that out, go check it out. It's a lot of fun. I will get a Trekyards shirt. It's on the to-do list.
There you go. Or you can super chat any of our lives, including, of course, that one, or episode reviews, or other content, either between the shows or during our mammoth seasons of, look, new Trek. Okay, Trekyards will make 5 new shows a week. But we do it for you. So thanks if you can help and not just keep watching.
That's right. So until next time, he's Dave Bessig.
He's Captain Foley.
Yes, I am.
And he's Commander Cockings.